Tēnā koe whānau on this wet Friday, Easter Friday. I hope everybody is okay. Today, I'm just inside, keeping busy inside because it's a little bit wet to the outside and it's a perfect day for a story. And my story today is The Little Kowhai Tree. And this story is written by Witi Ihimaera and Henry Campbell. They are the authors. This book is very special for us because when Shani, Noah, India and Zeb were little, they met Witi Ihimaera and he signed this book for them. Once upon a time, there was a little kowhai tree who lived in the middle of a great big forest. Not only was she little, she was very short and rather stout for a kowhai tree. The other trees teased her. The little kowhai was lonely in the forest. "I wish I had a baby brother to play with," she whispered. One day, a beautiful white-winged kotuku came flying over the forest. She dropped a seed right next to the little kowhai tree and soared away. "You must be my baby brother," said the little kowhai. The tiny seed started to move. It was ready to slip itself into the earth where it could grow. A nosy weka had seen the seed falling to the ground and came scurrying to have a look. "What's up? What's up?" the weka twittered. She began to peer and scratch at the ground until she found the seed. "Yummy, this will do for me for breakfast," she squawked. But the little kowhai yelled out, "Hoi, don't you dare! You can't eat my brother!" Although she was short and stout, the little kowhai tree had a big voice. She put one hand on her hip and pointed her long leafy finger and sang as loud as she could, "I'm a little kowhai, short and stout. If you hurt my brother, you'd better watch out." The nosy weka was afraid of loud noises. She shrieked off into the forest, flapping her stubby wings. The seed slipped into the soil and put out spidery roots and slender shoots. A wild pig came snorting into the forest. He was tired. The pig had just escaped a hunter and his ferocious dogs. He didn't see the shoot and thought he had found a nice clearing. "I can rest here," he grunted. He wiggled his curly tail and began to sit down, but the little kowhai yelled out, "Hoi! Don't you dare! You can't sit on my baby brother!" She put one hand on her hip and pointed her long leafy finger and sang as loud as she could, "I'm a little kowhai, short and stout. If you hurt my brother, you'd better watch out." "I'll make mincemeat out of you," she added. The wild pig was terrified. He squealed off into the forest as fast as his trotters would carry him. The shoot put out branches and turned into a small tree. A shaggy dog came swaggering into the forest. He had just had a big drink and was really rather full. "Aha!" barked the shaggy dog. "What a nice tree! How lush and green!" He raised his hind leg and closed his eyes, but the little Kowhai yelled out, "Hoi! Don't you dare! You can't water my baby brother." She put one hand on her hip, pointed her long leafy finger, and sang as loud as she could. "I'm a little Kowhai, short and stout. If you hurt my brother, you better watch out." The shaggy dog was so embarrassed he put his tail between his legs and slunk off into the forest. One day, a dreadful hush came over the forest. The animals went into hiding, and the birds took cover in the trees. A woodcutter came striding into the forest, carrying a shiny, sharp-toothed chainsaw. The little Kowhai's sap ran cold, and her branches shook with fear. As the woodcutter approached her baby brother, quivering with fear, she yelled out, "Hoi! Don't you dare! You can't cut my baby brother!" "Oh, can't I?" the woodcutter replied. "What about you then, little Kowhai Tree? You have a stout trunk, just the thing for firewood." He revved his chainsaw, and the little Kowhai Tree bent her head and waited for the bite. But suddenly a voice boomed from above. "Don't even think about it," it thundered. It was so loud that the ground shook and rumbled. Towering above the woodcutter and above the forest was the most enormous tree ever seen. It was a Cody, king of the forest. He put one hand on his hip, pointed his long leafy finger, and sang in his thundering voice, "I'm a great big Cody, tall and stout. If you hurt my sister, you'd better watch out." The woodcutter was so frightened he ran out of the forest and never came back. The little Kowhai Tree hugged her baby brother around his trunk as far as she could reach, and they lived happily ever after. And that brings us to the end of our story today, whānau. Such a beautiful story it is too. I love the little Kowhai Tree. Keep safe, whānau. Ka kite anō.